while I'm talking, and then everybody could have heard me going on about Babylon 5.
Babylon 5's awesome. We're live.
Exactly. It is awesome. It changed the way of storytelling on television.
Here, here. Oh man, I'd love to talk Babylon 5. But anyway, we're here to talk about Star Trek, which I also love very, very much.
Same.
Welcome everybody to the Unready Room. I'm Dan Gunther. With me, as always, Brandi Jackola, here to talk some Star Trek Prodigy with you today on this wonderful, hopefully beautiful where you are Saturday. For me, it's very smoky, which is
Same.
great.
Can't see the mountains, dude. Can't even see the
Yeah.
mountains. It's just all smoke.
Yeah, it's not as bad as yesterday. I almost couldn't see the other side of the street yesterday, but still not great. Anyway, let's forget all that and enjoy some Star Trek today. So we are talking Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, episodes 17 and 18. We're getting into the home stretch here, people. The episodes Brink and Touch of Grey, which I'm not that familiar with the Grateful Dead, but Tristan, I assume these are the lyrics that you've been posting in the comments here to the song Touch of Grey by the Grateful Dead, if I'm getting that right. So yeah, thank you for that. I meant to sit down and listen to it for this, but I never got around to it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was completely unaware it was a Grateful Dead song. So, or a song at
I,
all.
yeah, just from what I've seen online and people talking last week in the chat and stuff. So yeah, that's apparently the reference. People that know the song better can probably tell the thematic connections a little bit better than I can, but I'm sure there are
Yes.
lots because these Prodigy writers are really clever.
They really, really are.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, TJ. Appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, let's jump right in. We're talking the first episode we're talking about today is Brink, written by Diandra Pendleton Thompson and directed by Roland Lee. So we start out with a flashback to months ago, is what it says. It gives a star date and says months ago. Timey-wimey stuff in this show. I love it. Essentia is trying to harness the power of this wormhole and use it to ascend to power when Wesley arrives to supposedly stop her and foil her nefarious plans. And of course, he lets slip during this that, like, I know everything about what's going to happen and it's not good. Trust me, I have all the knowledge of all the events that are coming, almost as if saying, like, hint, hint. And of course, Essentia falls for this bait and captures Wesley. And then that brings us to today, where he's being used to build these temporal weapons. So yeah, this is, if you hadn't figured out by now that Wesley was intentionally doing this, you're at least getting some really big clues here, which I really appreciated. I like that. Like, there's still, you could still read it just wrote and not pick up on those and still think, oh my God, Wesley's in trouble. He let himself get captured. How could he be so stupid? But no, he's being clever. He's being Wesley clever.
Yeah, and that's what I thought when I saw, in the last few episodes when that he had been captured and was being used by Essentia. I'm like, he knows everything that's going to happen. He knows the events that have to take place to restore this timeline and, not have his home wink out of existence. So of course he let himself be captured. He actually went and basically gave himself up. And I just really appreciate that they didn't do the 10 months earlier or whatever it was, because you know how I hate that. And they've already done that once this season. And so
Mhm.
I was appreciative that it just started out with months ago. And I'm like, ooh, okay, I'm ready. What happened months ago?
Yeah, and I liked the yeah, this is different, I think, from those weird
Yes.
flashbacks that have no this one actually, like, we've already seen the outcome of this, and now it's filling in those little blanks for us, like, "Oh, when did Essentia capture Wes oh, okay, it was quite a while ago, she's had him for some time." We actually learn stuff from this, and it makes sense. Um, it occurs to me that had these episodes been released like on a weekly basis or something, can you imagine the stuff online from the certain people that'd be like, Wesley knows the future and knows everything that's gonna happen. How could he be so dumb as to get captured? That doesn't make any sense. These writers suck."
No.
You know that would happen. You know there would be
Yeah.
people out there like that.
There would be, because they have no imagination whatsoever and didn't actually think about the fact that Wesley knows everything, and so, of
Mhm.
course, he wasn't being stupid, he was part of the plan!
Exactly. But, like, I'm thinking back to Discovery season 1, of course, where people are like, "Oh, Lorca, what a horrible captain. I can't believe that doesn't make any sense that any Starfleet officer would do that or think like that." And, like, yeah. It's like, let the story play out. I know
Mhm.
everybody's got a comment on each episode, and that's what we're doing here for crying out loud, but, like, give writers the benefit of the doubt, I always say.
Yeah, and I think that Star Trek in this day and age is smart enough to understand that
Mhm.
that they can hand us these tidbits and we're gonna try to work it out, but acting like the writing is stupid because something happens that doesn't quite fit into what they think should be happening, that's just dumb,
Mhm.
because they've told very coherent stories in modern
Yeah.
Trek, and so you just need to get over yourselves, boys,
Yeah.
because I know it's boys.
And I mean, the thing is too, like there's stories that have been told that like, yeah, when all's said and done, that didn't really make a lot of sense, and that's fair. But it's like reading half of chapter 1 and being like, I don't understand the motivations of these characters, therefore it's dumb. It's like, well,
Yeah,
hang in there and find out, you know.
yeah,
And maybe it's dumb, but find that out after. Yeah, anyway. That's my little soapbox rant for today. So,
good one.
in the modern day, in today, in the timeline of this, Voyager and the Protostar are headed to Solum. The Starfleet has ordered them there. Again, the fleet spread really thin. They're kind of the closest ones, and it's decided that Gwyn is going to lead a team to Solum, and with the objective to stop this attack and all this stuff, but also she wants to rescue her father or future father Iltheron. It's crazy, it's timey-wimey. He's not her father, but anyway. So they're going to she's going to lead the old team, the Protostar crew, down to the planet. And I love this because they're wearing their old clothes from season 1. So basically it's a CGI show. They've just dusted off the character models from season 1, and there you go. I love that.
Just make sure you got that armband on Gwen's right
Mm,
arm, it's a
mhm.
temporal stabilizer thing.
Yeah, gotta make sure it's all updated. But and of course, Zero has a different look, you know, than his season 1 look or his early season 2 look. He's they've gone through a lot of different changes, is what I'm saying. So
They have, they have.
yes, sorry. Um, so also they have an addition to the team though, Majel, who's going to join the team and having resigned from Nova Squadron so that she's not a part of Starfleet anymore. And she's kind of sporting a cool new look too. I like her. I don't know. It still kind of looks like a flight suit, but I like it.
Yeah, but it's definitely not identifiable as Starfleet, so,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
You can take the Vulcan out of the fighter, but you can't take the fighter out of the something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, she's got it going on, and she's she wasn't actually tapped to become part of this team, but she's just like Wesley said, she says we should stay together. It is logical that we should stay together, and so she's just going.
Mhm. I love that. Her character is just like T'Lyn in Lower Decks, is just a breakout character I love. I really love the dynamic she adds to this group.
Agreed, and I they keep bringing on the Vulcans. Yeah, give me more Vulcans. Give me more lady Vulcans. I am loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've also developed this short-range cloak generator that's going to be supposedly useful.
It is a little.
Little bit, little bit.
A little
I'm
bit.
assuming that when we see it in operation on the surface and we see that hazy kind of like, I'm assuming that's kind of for our benefit, that
Mhm, it
it's a
is.
little bit more invisible than that. Except of course later when it's blinking on and off and they don't realize it.
It's those
Um,
gravimetric distortions, man.
yeah, it's pretty dull guards. Poor people just keep appearing in front of us. Huh.
They're not the only poor guards.
Yeah,
It's like,
absolutely.
"How did you guys get guard duty? Is it because you're dumb?"
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Tysus is tapped to Bribblesit, which, I was kinda hoping we'd see a little bit more
I
of that,
know.
but, they just gotta explain where Bribble goes for all of these, so
Yeah,
Tysus.
and yeah, Tysus does that. His face at first and then looks at Bribble and he's like, "Oh, you're kinda cute."
I do love that.
And Bribble is confirmed to be a him
Yes.
by Rock.
Yep. Very cute. Um, so we get our first look, well, not our first look, we get a look at Solom here, kind of the day-to-day, what's going on the streets, and it's not looking good. Solom under the thumb of Essentia is not great. There's no joy. It's supposed to be a thriving market area, and it's all dull, and the people seem to have no hope. So whatever Essentia thinks she's doing for her planet, it's not happening.
That's the thing, though. She says she's doing it for the planet, but it's not for the
No,
planet, it's for herself.
exactly. Yeah. And we see, and I did love this sequence. They're using that cloak to get around, and they have to shuffle together as one, and they keep knocking things. And Dal pops out, catches the vase, and that was cute. I like that.
Yeah.
Good visual gags going on here.
Yeah, because she hadn't, accounted for, T'Lyn or excuse me, Majel coming along.
Yes. The funny thing is
Uh,
when you said that, I was like, yes, Tallinn, that's correct. Wait, nope.
no, no, it's not. Different animated Vulcan.
Yep.
No, yeah, she hadn't, she made it for 6 people, and, instead there were 7. And
Yeah.
so that, made the space tighter because it's a dome, basically. If it had been a square, they would have been fine, but it was a dome. So
Mhm. It's the problem when you've got a central generator. It's just gonna
mhm,
extend dome-like from that area, or spherical, I
yeah,
guess. So
that makes sense. So,
yeah.
yeah, that's reasonable to, have a problem with adding another person
Mhm.
to that mix.
Yeah. So they discover that there's been a transmission sent from Iltheron's observatory. And interestingly, it was sent after Iltheron had been captured. And so Magel is an unexpected addition to this group. And we get another unexpected addition to the group. And I loved this little uh, conceit here where Essentia is on their side, but it's the young Essentia from this timeline who is seeing her future self, or her future self from a different timeline, doing these terrible things, and decides she wants no part in that. I loved that. I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, I was hoping for this throughout the
Mhm.
entire season because every time you saw young Essentia, watching what older Essentia was doing, her facial expressions, though subtle, betrayed the fact that she did not like this girl at all.
Or at least was like the times we see her before, she's at least skeptical or kind of
Mhm.
like, you know.
Yeah,
And I like that building up to this for sure. That was pretty
agree.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, and Dal's line, of course there's two. I hate time travel.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. He's completely familiar with temporal mechanics 101 now, but it still annoys him. I like that.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. That's fair, Dal. Time travel. It's wibbly wobbly.
Now, so this is where we get an inflection point in this episode here because they have to save both Iltheron and Wesley Crusher. So Wesley, they find this is where they find out he's captured by Essentia, and Gwyn makes the decision to split the team up. We have Gwyn, Rock, Murph, and Zero going after Wesley, and we have Dal, Jankum, Majel, and Essentia, as Dal says, going after Iltheron. And yeah, we'll find out in kind of like a moment at the end of the episode why this was uh, maybe not a bad decision necessarily because they don't have all the facts. It's a reasonable decision to make, but it hasn't figured into Wesley's calculations, and that's going to be an issue. So that was interesting, and I did remember thinking when I watched this the first time, briefly while they were doing this, I was like, "Oh, Wesley said don't split up, huh?" And then
Mhm.
not really thinking about it again after that. And yeah, that comes back to bite them a little bit.
It does. It was nice to see the librarian again because, now you can tell
Yeah,
your Dreadnoks, style droids apart. Because red eyes means bad,
right.
white eyes means good.
I always wonder if they don't like have the correct LEDs installed at the time. That crap, hold on. Turning evil
Well,
here.
yeah, red is the universal color of evil.
Mhm. I mean,
Evil.
all the windows and warp engines on the ships at the end of last season turned red when not sure how that works, but cool. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just saying it's shorthand for evil, red,
Yeah.
a lot
Oh,
of the time.
C3PO's eyes turned red when he like had to read the Sith thing. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's kinda weird. I was like, "Red is a much maligned color, stop it, stop it.
Mhm.
Red doesn't equal evil."
Darn association with blood.
No. Blood is a good thing, we should have blood, otherwise
Yep.
we couldn't exist.
You don't want to see it all that often, though. I think
No,
is
no,
the
you
problem.
don't. But that's the whole thing. It's just like, just because it comes out of, your blood is red and coming out of your body is not necessarily a good thing. That doesn't mean the color red is bad.
Well,
Sheesh.
psychologically in our history, that is what it means.
I don't like it.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I feel bad for red.
I've actually always wondered this.
Yes. Yes, they are.
And
Because they
sorry.
no, no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like on Romulan ships, like the alert when it flashes is green, which
Mhm.
I always thought that makes sense because our red alert, that's because of our blood, right? And
Yep.
it makes sense.
And Vulcans are not carbon-based life forms, so they are a different kind of life form. What are they?
They are carbon
Copper?
based. Yeah.
Well, carbon, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, the whole, f is it copper?
Oh, do you mean their blood? Yeah,
Yeah,
ours is iron based, theirs is blood. Or
thank you.
copper
That's
based.
what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Iron-based versus copper-based, yeah. So,
Yeah.
absolutely, their stoplights would be green.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I love that.
Mhm. I don't think they have stoplights at this point, but,
Not at this
you know.
point, but I'm sure they have alerts just like the Romulans, and yeah, they
Mhm.
should flash green for sure.
Yeah, we don't see that much we don't see enough Vulcan ships, honestly.
Hmm.
We've seen a crap load of Romulan ships, but honestly, how many Vulcan ships have we really seen
Yeah.
outside of animation? Not very many.
Just yeah, just Enterprise, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Um,
mm.
I also feel like Vulcan ships wouldn't have a lot of alerts and klaxons and alarms and stuff. It would be
Oh,
like
no.
if they got into some situation, I don't know what the equivalent would be, but like the Vulcan ship would basically raise an eyebrow. I don't know what that equivalent would be. Fascinating.
Just there's this calm voice going, "Alert." Just once. Alert.
Mhm.
That's it.
Oh man. So where are we in this episode? um okay, so I love this. Gwyn's group is approaching the building and their cloaking field's failing and they don't realize it from inside, which makes sense. Like things wouldn't look different from inside. Just as an aside, there's like a part that bugs me in a Deep Space Nine episode where they introduce cloaking technology to the mirror universe and they cloak the regent's ship, and Garrick, the mirror Garrick's on the bridge and is like, oh, it's working, we're cloaked. And I'm like, what are you looking at? How do you, what the, anyway.
Not how it
Just
works.
no,
Sorry.
not at all.
No. No, no thanks.
Yeah, but I love that they don't realize they're becoming visible, and Rock just boom, knocks the guard out. That was great. That made me happy.
Yeah, how long it took those 2 guards to come up to them, just
Yeah.
scraping the bottom of the barrel here, probably because all of the good guards, don't wanna work for Essentia, and so they're all
Mm,
imprisoned.
yeah. Wellington, sorry, I like this. The eyebrow is raised. The eyebrow is raised.
I love it.
That's great.
Perfect. That's perfection.
So meanwhile, Dal's team, there's this prison transport, and they're um, transporting Ilthron and what looks to be like high up members of the government. This is not
Yeah.
good. Where are they going? Dal's team breaks into this prison transport and rescues all of them. Um, that was a cool little scene. I like that. I like Jankum, of course, where I think Dal says, "Are we going to hijack the whole train?" And Jankum says, "Are you trying to suggest plans that will get us all killed?" or something like that. I love that.
Yeah, and those 2, the higher ups, we've seen them before, and they were
Hmm.
being very catty about Gwen back then.
Yeah.
And, yeah, more fool them for believing older Essentia, and they recognize that. They
Hmm.
recognize that now. At least they can admit their mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was gratifying to hear because like, oy, man. So meanwhile, Gwyn's team, we have Murph trying to get into this room via this hole that's been shot. And meanwhile, there's more guards coming. They've already taken out a couple guards here. Um, I loved Zero's puppetry. That was great. Again, the guards are complete idiots, but I love whatever Gwyn said to them made them laugh and move on.
Yep. Well, that's the thing, dumb guards are easy to fool, so at
Yeah.
least there's that.
In more ways than one, they're easy to fool into working for you,
Mm,
because I think that's the only way Essentia has anybody following her at this point. The dumb people. Or
yes.
the unintelligent people, anyway. Um so yeah, Murph squeezing through that hole. That was cute. I like that. Um and they rescue Wesley. And that was cool. He's expecting them. He's like, "You're right on time. That's awesome." And it takes a little while for him to notice. It's quite a bit of the episode before he realizes, wait, where's everyone else? This isn't right. He's a little out of it. Makes sense. But yeah, this is where he reveals that he guided events so that Essentia would invent the wormhole tech that they need to send the protostar back. And that was the only way that this was all going to work. So we knew he was doing it on purpose. Now we get the why, like why exactly that had to go the way it did. Um, However, as I said, splitting up the team has messed up Wesley's plan, and he doesn't know how things are going to go now.
Yeah, well, he's got brain damage basically from
Yeah.
what Essentia has done to him, and so he can't really figure it out. I mean, he can't even focus enough to travel anywhere.
Hmm.
So, he's freaking out because this has never happened to him before, and he doesn't know how to guide events anymore. It's gonna be up to the kids now.
Yeah. And as we find out in the next episode, like his abilities to use those, they're gone right now. And the doctor hopes they'll come back, but he doesn't know for sure. Like it's not good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this was a great moment. So we have Dal's team and Ilthron. They've been captured by Essentia, and the two groups are meeting up here. And Essentia seems to be holding all of the cards, and she's about to kill Iltheron, who is fated to lead the revolt against her and overthrow and bring Solom back. And I love this little communication between Gwyn and Dal. And Dal realizes it and takes the little portable transporter and tosses it. Wesley grabs it, and he and Iltheron escape back up to Voyager. That was a brilliant moment. I love that.
It was, and I did love the slow motion of it.
Yeah.
Dal using his little, tendril or whatever we call it to just reach down into his shirt, grab that, and toss it. Oh, it was just perfection. It was mwah. I loved it.
Speaking of that, oh yeah,
Tentacle,
here it
that's
is.
what I meant to say.
Um, I loved Wesley. It's like, wait, where are the others? Others? The one with the purple dingle dangle. The little one who argues. The one with the purple dingle dangle. I love that.
Dingle dangle. Yeah, he couldn't think of the word tentacle either.
Mhm. That was great. Um, so yeah, they're beamed up to Voyager, just Wesley and Iltheron. And then the closing line of the episode on the bridge of Voyager, Wesley says, "We're all in danger, and I don't know what happens next." So
Dun dun dun.
yeah, as Tristan says, he's experiencing linear time for the first time in decades, and it leaves a hell of a hangover. Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll very quickly a few of the canon connections and references. At the very beginning, they're in the meeting, and Dal's listening at the door, and he says, "I think they're playing poker." Just cute, lots of poker in Star Trek.
If I had been able to fit that as my middle name, I would have used that, but I couldn't fit. Sounds like they're playing poker and
Yeah,
still be able to have the limited amount of characters, so
yeah. As Matthew points out here, the little portable transporter thing, very reminiscent of the one Data uses to save Picard at the end of Nemesis. Um,
wow, that's an interesting connection.
hmm, I feel like you might have watched that recently.
I might have. You'll have to
Interesting.
listen to the next Shield Podulation to find out. Oh, anyone who listened to the previous episode will know we're covering Nemesis.
Yeah. In the transporter room, Gwyn says engage before they beam down, which actually reminds me of a blooper from Star Trek The Next Generation, where it's it's Patrick Stewart and Marina Sirtis standing in front of the transporter, and Picard says, "Engage." No, no, we don't. Energize. That's what we say in here.
So basically, they're making a connection to a blooper. That is so great.
Maybe. I mean, they have said engage for the transporter before, rarely, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
I
it works. Engage the transporter.
yeah,
Yeah.
it works. But it reminded me of that blueprint. I love that. It's like, no, energize. That's what we say in here.
Oh, I love Star Trek bloopers. They are so
Oh
fun.
yeah. And then Wesley mentions that he feels like he's gone 10 rounds as a Nausicaan punching bag. So I think somebody in an episode says something like, I've gone 10 rounds with a Nausicaan. I feel like I've gone 10 rounds with a Nausicaan. Wesley takes it a step further by, as a Nausicaan punching bag. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Brink, final thoughts, rating for this episode. I mean, it's not technically a part one, but I think, yeah. What are your thoughts?
First of all, you guys apologizing in the chat, saying that you're sorry for me.
Oh,
Listen, you'll just have to listen to the episode, okay? So that's
I'm
shield
excited for it.
modulation coming later today. Um, this episode was tense. There was a lot of
Mhm.
tension, and it was it went by so fast. It felt like it went by so fast because and there was a lot of stuff going on, but it didn't seem like it was overstuffed in any way. I I appreciated Dal, with the group, you know, knowing that Gwen was in charge. He was being a good first officer, and he
Mhm.
was bringing up the options. He's like, "Okay, you say we should split up. Wesley told us we need to stay together." And, you know, he was doing what a first officer does, a good first officer does, which is saying, "Hey, there may be a better way to do this." And ultimately, it is her decision, and he backs her when she says, you know, "No, we're doing this." And it's just like, it made me so happy because Dal has come so far. He has come so far, not just in season 1, but this season as well. He's had a lot of great growth, and this was just
It's a great rating.
this was just a prime example of how far he's come. And yeah, it kind of leaves us in a cliffhanger sort of thing with this second season being as serialized as the first one, where it's
Mhm.
just I need to know what happens next. So I'm going to give this um let's see. Oh, one thing that I noted this time that I hadn't really thought about concretely before, um, the visual of Solum and all of the plants that are making weapons so quickly, and they've got these little domes over them, etc. And you just see these things whirring around really quickly in there, where months are going by while it's only hours outside. It reminded me not purpose wise, but it reminded me of okay, I'm going to get nerdy here. Final Fantasy VII and the city of Midgar and all of the Mako reactors that are circled around the city that are draining the life out of the planet. Ugh, metaphor much. And it just, for some reason, it just reminded me of that. I'm like, oh, it's like Midgar, but it's Solum. Because she's basically going to destroy the planet. She just doesn't know it yet. So I'm going to give this I have so many choices here. I'm gonna give this one giant oh Majel, I love you for this episode.
That's a good
Because
one.
I wrote that down literally word for word. Oh Majel, I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love this episode, and I think the thing that crystallizes in my mind the clearest as to what I love the most about this episode is something Matthew's just bringing up here. Actually, how far Dal has come. I love that. How supportive he is. How um, like he's picking up on things that before he wouldn't have. Like he just glosses over because his brain's going somewhere else and he's thinking just about himself, but here he's the best first officer to Gwyn, and it's so good to see. Um, so yeah, I love this episode. It's such a great setup. The ending is really good and tense when you're realizing that oh crap moment, where Wesley says, I don't know what's going to happen next, and he's in it with all of them. Yeah, I'm going to give it one epic bribble sitting adventure that we never got to see that I'm sure Titus experienced.
I want that. I want a short trek about that. Not that they're
I was
doing
just gonna
short
say,
treks
yeah.
anymore, but I want that, Bribble sitting day
Yeah,
with with Commander Tisus.
I would absolutely watch that. That'd be great. Kind of like, oh, do you remember The Incredibles, right? And they
Of
had
course.
the was it, Jack Attack, I think was the short that happened, and it was showing, they left Jack in the care of Kari, the babysitter, and
Mhm.
just that little short film that came out of that, it was so good. I
It
wanna
was
see
good.
Bribble have a whole bunch of abilities we had no idea about, and Tysus is just freaking out.
I would watch that for sure.
That'd be
It
great.
would be great.
Alright, well, let's move on to Touch of Grey, and I've gotta change my title as I see you just did. Um, I didn't even look at yours before I Nice. Okay. Mine is I think I'm gonna go for this one. Probably obvious, but sounds like a real humdinger.
Uh,
I was killing myself laughing, and they're like, "What the?"
Ooh, sounds like a real humdinger, can't wait.
Oh my
Kill
god.
me.
All right. So Touch of Grey. Now this is interesting. This is the only episode to have a teaser before the
Cold
credits.
open, man. Cold
Yeah.
open.
All the other ones have been act 1, act 2, act 3. This one is teaser, act 1, act 2, act 3, almost like a more traditional Star Trek episode. So that was interesting. Um and they almost use it as a recap at first
Mm,
with the Admiral's log. But it's
yes.
more than just that because we get this lovely scene between Janeway and Chakotay. It's the anniversary of Janeway's first command, and he presents the gift of the Voyager style comm badge. Um, and I love Chakotay talking up the kids. Says, "I'm standing here because of them and you." Just a lovely, lovely moment before it's interrupted by the end of the previous episode. Basically, it kind of is like that.
Yep.
Um, it almost makes me wonder if now that I'm just thinking of it now, like I wonder if either the previous episode ran a little long and they took that scene and put it at the start of this, or tonally they just decided like it's all tense, all tense, all tense. They beam up and get the big moment, and they didn't want to interrupt it with this more quiet moment. And
Mm.
so they moved it over, or it was all by design from the beginning. Either way, I really like the way they've done this, and I think it works really well.
I agree, and it's showing the first signs of, Janeway going, "I don't know that I wanna do this anymore."
Yeah, yeah, that's right. We get the little hint that she's planning on early retirement. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Can't blame her after what she's been through.
Hmm. Quite a career for sure.
Mm.
So yeah, we get that, and then we get the opening credits, at which point, because this is how I have my notes, we learn that it's written by Jennifer Miro and directed by Sung Shin, which I should have mentioned earlier, but this is where we learned it. So that's where I wrote it.
Yes.
So yeah, we get the doctor examining Wesley. He has lost his abilities, hopefully temporarily, but they don't actually know that for sure. He might have lost them permanently. The doctor hopes they'll come back, but yeah, he's any other person, he says, would not be here talking to them anymore. So, way to go, Wesley. Oof.
Yeah. That guy putting himself on the chopping block just to make sure that this timeline survives. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
rest of you travelers, you're freaking cowards. You're
Hmm.
cowards. Oh, we don't get involved. Yeah.
No, no, gotta save this timeline. It's an important one to Star Trek fans.
Yes, yes, it is, and I'm glad we have Wesley to help us save it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a Essentia sending a message and I can't help but laugh at this now because this is all that goes through my head. She's giving this dramatic message. Um, Solom has been invaded by aliens. And meanwhile, we've got the dramatic bell guy back because in the background he's going, oh, boom. She says aliens. I love this guy.
So great.
Like, does he have like the pre-planned remarks and there's cues to when he hits the bell, or is he just reacting like, oh, boom?
I wonder with Essentia is probably planned out.
She's so dramatic.
Yeah, and if you don't do the bong at the right time, she is going to it's gonna be off with your head, baby.
But I just love that it's like punctuating the like dramatic parts of her speech.
It's
I
so
just
over the top mustache
so
twirling villain.
yeah, like I'm just so caught up in what are the logistics of this. Like,
Mhm.
so we'll go through it again. When I say this, I love
No,
it.
no, not there. Not there. No.
Oh man.
Get it right.
That just I know it's supposed to be like this moment, but as soon as I heard that bong, I'm just like, oh my god.
So funny.
Oh. So this message is basically a way in Essensia's mind to lure Janeway to the surface, right? Because yeah. And as Tysus says, you know, an admiral, or no, it's Noom, I think, says, yeah, I don't know. Noom says an admiral is more valuable than a bunch of cadets, as much as he hates to say it, right? So, but Janeway is going to go down to the planet along with Chakotay, the doctor, and Wesley, and they're going to go rescue these kids, basically. Um, so meanwhile, and this was the heart of the episode for me, Gwyn is regretting her decision to split up the team and thinking the fate of her planet rests on her having made this decision. And I love the sorry, I'm just reading comments. I love the rest of the team kind of trying to buoy her and say like, yeah, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Wesley doesn't know, but that doesn't mean all is lost. That's not the only consideration. So that was lovely.
It was.
Sorry.
Everybody should be that supportive.
Mhm.
So
Just strike the gong during rehearsals. How many times did they rehearse the message before she sent it? Now I'm wondering
yeah,
about that.
probably a lot. Probably like hours worth. And the guy who's striking the gong is just like, "Can I please sit down? I'm so thirsty. I haven't eaten in 12 hours. Can we please?"
Oh man. That makes me very happy. I want to see things from that guy's perspective.
Yes. Short trick about that.
Yes. Um we also get, before they go down to the planet, they're making this they're using the vehicle replicator to create a Solum ship to get down to the planet. And while that's happening, we get the meeting of the EMH, the doctor, and hologram Janeway. And I thought that was so sweet. I love that, like, she's a fan of his writing. He's like,
She got
oh,
a crush.
a little bit, maybe.
She
Yeah.
got a little crush. I'm not saying it's necessarily romantic, I'm just saying. She's got
Hmm.
and honestly, while I watched this, and this isn't the first time I've noticed this, but I had forgotten about it until it happened. While we have that scene before things or, before people are talking, there's a hint of the Voyager theme in the
Mm.
music,
Mhm.
and that
Yeah.
made me very happy.
Absolutely. I love those little flourishes like that. Nami Melamad, I think that's something we haven't talked enough
Oh,
about over the
yeah,
course of
she's a
this.
genius.
Oh, her score for these episodes, they're so good. It's incredible the work she does. And she scores Prodigy and Strange New Worlds, I believe. And she's
Yes.
incredible. Really
She
good.
amazing, mind-blowing. fantastic, especially as she seems so young. It's like, how do you
Yeah,
have all of this inside you? It's amazing.
it's brilliant for sure. Um, the other thing I noted in this scene is Tysus and Noom as they're leaving. They kind of have a Spock Bones thing going on a little bit, which I like, where Tysus is like, I'll keep the ship, you know, I'll look after the ship for you. And Noom's like, I'll make sure to keep him in line. And I'm like, oh, they're totally Spock Bones. I totally see
Mhm.
that.
Yep. Yep. Because Tysus is very serious and logical, even though
Hmm.
he's an Andorian. He's very Vulcan-like.
Yeah, that reminds me, and I'm going to bring it up now, just so I don't forget later. And I want to confirm that this is correct. Oh my god, I hate the search on Memory Alpha sometimes.
Oh, it's terrible. It's not just sometimes, it's always terrible.
Yeah, like the episode is called Too Short a Season, and when I search it, why does that not come up? Okay, so I'll click Mark Jameson, and okay, so we last week we talked about the Cerberusian um
Therapy,
treatment
gene therapy.
for therapy, yeah, for Tysus, and I think I need to find this out. I think Cerberus was the planet where Mark Jameson got the drug to de-age himself. But I gotta find
That
that out for sure.
Oh, the writers know what they're
Yep.
doing.
Jameson obtained a drug from Cerberus 2 that rejuvenates the body. Brilliant reference.
What a deep cut. Love it. I love it. I love
Yep.
it.
That's amazing. So thank you to somebody in the comments for last week's video who pointed that out. I want to credit you for that because that was really good. And I should have had this pulled up. Sorry. This is
That's
great
okay. We'll wait.
live content, folks.
No, it's fine. I like
Um,
it. I'm excited to find out who it is.
okay, so Bridge 6649 in the comments for last week's episode. Thank you so much for that. That is brilliant. Too short a
Well done.
season. That
Yeah,
was great reference by the writers.
fantastic. And fantastic that you picked up on that. So well done.
Yeah, thank you for that. Awesome. Excellent. Okay, so
As I
they
struggled to say the word Cerberusian.
yeah, right. So they fly down to the planet. This is where we get the great scene where they can't land where the prisoners are being held and the doctor's doing a dreadnought voice. And yeah, my favorite line where they says, "Oh, the prisoners are going to be executed soon." Oh, should be a real humdinger. Can't wait. I mean, acknowledged.
Now, I have to wonder, is that actually Jimmy Simpson doing that voice? Because it really sounds like it.
It does, yeah. And I mean, they've done that in the past where the doctor's impersonating someone and they just use that person's voice. Like, so that makes sense, but that was great. Like,
So good. Because it really sounds like him. I've listened to it several times, and it really sounds like Jimmy Simpson, so I think that
yeah,
is what they did.
that's my guess as well, for sure. That's funny. Um, and I love the reactions of Janeway and Chakotay and being like, what are you doing? Oh, and
Right.
Wesley piloting the ship too, as well, kind of starting to get back into his old role as a Starfleet officer instead of a traveler, which we get a nice little touch on later when Wesley's kind of bemoaning the fact that he can't use his powers to get them in, and he's kind of feeling a little useless. And Janeway says, "Before you were a traveler, you were a Starfleet officer, and from what I hear, a pretty good one." We need that Wesley Crusher now. I love that moment.
That was fantastic because, that's the thing. He's got all of these abilities, and he's so used to using them that he doesn't know what to do when he's cut off from that.
Mhm.
And and of course he would feel useless because normally he could just, put them anywhere they needed to be. But they can't have that convenience now, and that's, due to Essensia's neurolytic shock that she caused him with diving into his brain. But he also knew that was going to happen. So, yeah, I appreciated that he could still fly a ship. So,
Mhm.
some skills are just motor memory, you're just gonna remember them no matter what. Like riding a bike, I haven't been on a bicycle in probably 20 years, but I
Hmm.
could get on one and ride a bike. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard for Wesley though because he's supposed to be the person orchestrating all of this, and now he's not.
Mhm.
And, it was nice of Janeway to say those things because it put him at ease. It really did.
Mhm. Yeah. And he's struggling a bit otherwise as well because they have to walk these 2 kilometers over these jagged peaks, I guess, to get to
Yeah,
where they need to go, and I loved his
those
line,
quads.
"I'm so used to stepping through temporal rifts, I forgot what it's like to use your quads."
Dude, get some
I feel
exercise.
ya.
Get an elliptical or something. I mean,
Mhm.
come on.
So yeah, there's some really nice character stuff with him, I really like that. Meanwhile, the Protostar crew is locked in this ancient arena, and they soon find out they're locked in there with a loom, and that's terrifying. Um, Although they kind of it chases them around for a bit, but never quite catches them. So it's a little less terrifying, and we don't really know why until we realize that it's got that collar on it, and it's just as trapped as they are. So I thought it was interesting. This episode kind of humanizes isn't the right word, but like makes you sympathetic with a loom. That was a pretty
Mm.
cool way to do it.
Yeah, well, they're fine as long as they're not devouring your reality.
Hmm.
So, it's just they have thoughts, and they probably have hopes and dreams, and they love and hate just like any
I
other
wanted to be a
species.
doctor.
No, I've got to go around destroying timelines. They're delicious, but still, I could have helped someone instead of killing things. I'm sorry, I'm
um,
doing the inner monologue of this loom.
I love it. So we've got Essentia, and she's wanting Janeway. So the away team gives her a Janeway,
I
which
knew it wasn't the real Janeway.
oh
Straight
yeah,
up.
I mean
I knew.
the cut back and the doctor's not there, and what's going on. I enjoy it. I still like the reveal though, even though something's up. I love the like fake death. Oh, it's all going black. Oh. Okay, the coffin.
What I
Oh,
am.
that was great. I loved it. And I love that, like, on the show it's the doctor, but it's Kate Mulgrew doing the voice of this. Like,
Yeah,
how fun is that?
so fun. So fun. Just like when she had to be Dal in season 1.
Yes, that was so good. I kind of want to go back and just watch that episode. It's so good.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, this dramatic death, that was so much fun to watch. And Essentia at first, like, is just like, what? This is weird, but she doesn't clue in that it's not Janeway until she turns into the doctor, and she's like, "Oh my god."
It's like,
Yeah.
"Bye." That was a lot of fun, and, it's funny because Essentia doesn't know as much as she thinks she knows about the people that she's fighting, and that
Mhm.
is her disadvantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Zero, in the meantime, makes mental contact with Janeway, and gives her the intel on the loom and the fact that it's trapped in there and stuff. And this leads to her using a comm badge for something I didn't know you could do. Apparently, it can be an improvised explosive device. Um,
Yeah, you just mess with it a little bit and you can blow stuff up.
And she says this is like something she remembered from her academy days. I was like, what were you doing in the academy? Good
She was
lord.
causing trouble is what she was doing.
Apparently. It's not cherry bombs down the toilets. Comm badges, I guess.
Yep.
Ugh. Yeah, so that was interesting. I like the little okay. I guess they can be used for that now. That's cool. Um Now I have a question, and I'm sure the writers have thought of this and they probably have an answer to it, and I just haven't seen it anywhere. And I actually kind of thought of maybe an answer to this, but it's happened a few times aboard the ship. And now it happens on the planet's surface here. The doctor disappears along
Yes.
with his mobile emitter and reappears elsewhere. I'm curious as to how that's working because he's not beaming anywhere. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I
okay.
just don't know. It's gotta be a new function of the hollow emitter, probably something the doctor created himself.
Yeah. Now this was my thought. I thought of this just in a few moments before we started recording. And I'm like, okay, how could it do that? And when we see it this time, it's not instantaneous, right? We see him disappear, and then there's like other stuff going on. And at a certain point, he appears. It's like, hey, and it's like, oh, right on time. Um, I'm wondering if it's creating a holographic field around him that's making him invisible.
Mm,
And then he's just getting up and running away.
could be.
I don't know why he would do that on the ship. And maybe there's some other function on the ship that it's actually beaming the emitter somewhere else or something. But
Well,
on this planet's surface,
I thought they had hollow emitters installed
they
throughout the
did,
ship.
but his mobile emitter, when he's wearing
Oh,
it,
right,
it,
right.
it disappears with him. And I'm like, how does that work? But uh that's my thinking for on the planet's surface. I'm like, but I don't know if that's their explanation or if they think something else is going on. I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't know either.
yeah.
We need to ask. Go to Twitter right now. Oh, no, don't go
Yeah.
to Twitter, it's a cesspool. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you find him? How do you find him so you can ask, "Hey,
I just
pal,
kind of like the idea of the doctor just like and turning invisible and being like whoop, whoop, whoop.
don't bump into anything while you're moving."
uh, um so yeah, this is where they've rescued everybody. Wesley is calling the ship to pick them up. And Iltheron steps into the limelight and starts leading this revolt against Essentia. Uh, I love that moment where everything's just falling apart around her. It's a great moment for sure.
It is. It is. It's, and he's doing it from Voyager. That's
Hmm.
the great part because when he and Wesley actually showed up from the transporter, they showed up on the bridge. They didn't show up on a transporter pad.
Yeah,
But I'm sure that they made this plan before they even left the ship, and so
yeah.
Iltheron knew when
Oh,
to.
don't do this. Not again.
"Oh, no, are we losing you? Are we losing you? Are you there? Is it me? Is it me? Are you there? Have we lost Dan? I think we've lost Dan, or he's frozen. Are you back?
I think so.
Yay!"
Don't do this again. Yeah. I anyway, okay.
Yeah,
um
I forgot what I was
so
saying, so go on.
so I love the doctor coming up with his next hollow novel. He's gonna call it Mission Assignment Solum, The Adventures of Dirk Danger and the Dome of Loom and Doom.
Or
and
you could
and
have just called it The Loom of Doom.
and Mijel says that
That
is
is
certainly a
certainly
title.
a title. She's telling the truth while not praising or denigrating. It's just
Hmm.
The way that she so carefully says it.
Yeah.
Diplomatic, very good.
Very good. Yeah, very diplomatic for sure. Speaking of diplomacy, this was interesting. So Gwyn wants to help save Solom and is fully expecting Janeway to bring up the Prime Directive and all of this, but Janeway agrees and will give them anything they need to help save Solom, which I love that. I think it's great. Obviously, Iltheron's all communicating from Voyager already, so they're probably already in it quite a bit. But yeah, Prime Directive out the window for this one.
Mhm. Well, to be fair, the Prime Directive went out the window a while ago, but
Exactly.
honestly, it's a it's not applicable anymore. It's really not.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the end. Only two canon connection things other than the ones we already mentioned that I wanted to bring up, and that's Janeway mentioning retiring to a farm in Indiana, which we of course learned she grew up on earlier in Voyager, and then the Doctor had his "I'm a doctor, not a covert operative."
Mhm. But he makes
So
a pretty good covert operative, actually.
not bad, not bad.
Except for his really milking it death scene. I mean,
Well, he had to, yeah.
stretch it out. He had to stretch it out. Yeah.
So final thoughts on Touch of Grey and a rating, and of course that also goes for the folks in the comments as well.
Uh, this episode is great. It's it's fun to
Saying that a
see.
lot lately.
Yeah, imagine that, me saying that this episode is great when I've said that about every freaking episode of season 2. Um, it's moving the plot along. I love seeing, Essentia taken down a peg and watching her just go off the rails because she already is off the rails. This
Mhm.
Essentia is unhinged. She's completely out of touch with reality now, and she is just so focused on her vision and her vision alone that she can't seem to grasp that this is never going to happen. There are too many people who are willing and ready to stop you. And
Mhm.
she just carries on like she's invincible and like she's the smartest person in the room, and she isn't. Whenever someone thinks they're the smartest person in the room, I can guarantee you that they are in for a shock, because the
Mhm.
people who think they're the smartest never are. They
Yeah.
never are. So, um, I I was grateful that everybody got rescued. Of course, I never had any doubt in the when I was first watching it. Um, it was interesting seeing the loom. I don't want to use the word humanized, but unfortunately, it's the only word I really have. So,
Generate empathy for, maybe.
Yes, uh, feel empath feel empathetic towards them. Yeah. And realize that they're something besides just timeline eating monsters, you know?
Mhm.
And so but they're
Very
so
Star Trek.
different. Yeah, it's very Star Trek, very Star Trek. So, yeah, and grateful again for, Zero being able to connect with, Janeway and, telepathically share the information that they very much needed. It was funny too, again, it was a little bit of a Star Wars moment when they were looking at the back door going, "How are we gonna get past these guards? Oh, we'll wait for the shift to change." Suddenly, they're out of there. It's like, "Okay, let's go."
Glad they weren't at the start of an 8-hour shift.
I know, right? They just and it seemed like they were in a hurry to get out of there too. So
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed this a lot, and I'm going to give it I'm going to give it one guy in the back banging a gong, banging striking that gong. One giant guy who's just like, "Oh my god, I haven't eaten in 12 hours."
I love it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, obviously. I think it's it's great to see this show kind of addressing all of the threads and Solum is a big one, and I really like that they're going full bore on that, and seeing Essensia's downfall is very satisfying for sure. And seeing Iltheron take up that mantle of leading the charge against her, and kicking off this civil war, which is going to be bloody and it's going to be bad, but it's necessary to get rid of Essentia, right? So, yeah, I'm enjoying this. I think it's really good, obviously. And I'm gonna give it one Doctor's Hollow novel that is certainly has a title.
Yeah.
A real humdinger of a title, if I'm
Yep.
if I'm being honest, for sure. Um, so yeah, that's we'll wrap it up there before my internet cuts out again. And yeah, next week, final one for Star Trek Prodigy, Ouroboros parts 1 and 2, the season 2 finale. And then a bit of a break till October when we get into Lower Decks. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I really like those 2 episodes. I'm really looking forward to talking about them. So
Yes.
go subscribe to Subspace Podulation.
Shield population.
Sure, sure, sorry. I was like, that didn't sound right in my head. Ah,
It's okay.
so
We've
close.
all we've all done it. I've had to take a breath. I mean, it's my and Dave's podcast, and there will be times where I'm like, shield population. Yeah, that's it.
Go subscribe. It's a lot of fun. Brandi and Dave talking about Star Trek is one of my favorite things now. So, yes, go listen
Thanks.
to that. Subscribe to Kurtrat's Productions if you haven't already. I'm planning on doing lots of new videos and stuff like that. So, I'm wondering if we're going to get a bunch of news from Star Trek Day tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't heard
Well,
anything.
it's really disappointing because last year, of course, during the strike, we had a very abbreviated presentation, and this year there's like
Mm,
nothing. There's
yeah.
nothing, and
Yeah,
it's
I think
irritating.
last year they announced the partnership between Star Trek and Kid Cudi. I think
Mhm.
that was about
Yeah,
it.
that was
I'm
about
not
it.
sure about this year. Um,
Yeah, well, I don't know of anything that's going on. Is
I don't
there
know.
any kind of presentation planned? Because if there is, I don't know about it.
I haven't heard anything. So
Yeah, it's just bizarre.
yeah, I guess yeah. Maybe it's more at the San Diego Comic Con and New York Comic Con. Maybe that stuff is being announced. So
Well,
I
that
don't know.
sucks.
I
They still
agree.
should have they still should have done some kind of thing like they started doing a few years back.
Hmm.
Just a big celebration and talking to people from the shows and all of that stuff. That was fun. Those were great days, and not this time. Nothing.
Coupon Jim must never die.
Never, never die. Man, you keep bringing it every week,
So good.
TJ. Every week you're bringing it. I
That's
can't thank
excellent.
you enough for that.
Well, thank you all for joining us this week. We'll see you again next week. And until then, as always, live long and prosper and live logs and proper and
Or
all of
live
that good
long
stuff.
and proper.
That
Just
too.
combine the 2. Just combine.